Yesterday, Sidney Jones played his first real game with the Seattle Seahawks. He got a lot of opportunities. He got the start, took Trey Flowers out of there, and it was nice. Now, of course, Sidney Jones, he didn't have a perfect game, but he did a lot better than we could all assume that Trey Flowers would have done. Did you know, interesting fact, Trey Flowers, going into week 4, had played the most defensive snaps in the NFL and allowed the highest passer rating in the NFL. Just something a little bit interesting. Hopefully Trey Flowers enjoys being the easiest corner to throw on in the entire NFL. But today we're going to be looking at the good, the bad, and the ugly from Sidney Jones' first game. So now to just jump right into it, we're going to start off with the ugly. And I'm going to be doing my little version of film study. There's no film, it's just pictures because I don't want to get copyrighted. But we're going to be taking a look at what the worst play, in my opinion, was. And as we can all assume, it was 100% the play that Deebo Samuel just found a way to get wide open. And that was more miscommunication than anything. So right here, as you can see, we have Sidney Jones. And I believe he's covering Brandon Ayuk. And then this is Deebo Samuel ready to go around. Jamal Adams is covering this flat right here. And Sidney Jones, I assume, is supposed to go deep and cover that. But Sidney Jones, as you'll see if you watch the play, follows Brandon Ayuk this way, and then Deebo Samuels just goes around, and Jamal Adams still staying here, expecting Sidney Jones to cover deep. That gave up a wide open touchdown. If we go right here, you see there's a lot of confusion right here as Deebo Samuel wide open. 100% this was supposed to be on Sidney Jones. So bad play by Sidney Jones there. That gave up a wide open touchdown. That is probably the ugliest possible play that we had seen. Of course, very bad play, but still, I think that this can be fixed. This is a miscommunication play, and it's something that I believe Sidney Jones, it'll just get better with time. It'll be fixed. This won't happen again, most likely, with Sidney Jones at least. And now let's stick with the bad, and let's move on to what I believe is the first bad thing that he did. Now this right here, this is the setup to the play that was the first touchdown of the game. The first few drives did not look great for Sidney Jones. He was definitely trying to settle in. Right here, you can see him opening up very far back, and this boy right here, number 82, no idea who he is. He takes the inside. That's the first mistake. Sidney Jones gave up the inside to the bigger man, and that's what led to this touchdown right here because Sidney Jones was on his backside. This guy right here, big boy, he did a good job keeping Sidney Jones behind him. That led up a touchdown, but honestly, I don't think this was horrible coverage. Like, obviously, Sidney Jones made a big mistake letting him get inside leverage, but look, Sidney Jones is right next to him. It's not like a Trey Flowers. This man just caught a wide open pass with Trey Flowers 16 yards away. Sidney Jones is on this man. He just gave up inside leverage. That's a small mistake that led to a big play, but that's stuff that can be fixed. Sidney Jones at least trying and like keeping up with his man. Although it was bad, I don't think it was horrible because at least it showed some effort. And now moving on to the second bad play that I believe I saw from Sidney Jones was this right here, kind of encapsulating the kind of softer coverage. I believe that's more of a scheme issue than Sidney Jones himself. I think that's what the Seahawks try to play for because everyone does it. But right here you can see a catch is being made, and Sidney Jones, he's a little far back. You'd like to see him try and contest that catch. He didn't end up doing that, but it's easy for me to say. I'm not a corner in the NFL trying to guard some of the best athletes in the entire world. But Sidney Jones, as a corner, you'd like to see him try and at least go for the ball. He didn't do that on this play. That was something that I didn't like. And then right here, this is just a general problem with the Seattle Seahawks when it comes to crossing routes. We can't cover crossing routes. I'm pretty sure we're supposed to have help like somewhere in the middle as the crossing route comes. But right here, Deebo Samuels just walked across the line and then Sidney Jones was just behind him. That's kind of how we play the crossing routes. And I think that's more of a scheme issue. But of course, Sidney Jones, he was a victim of it. And there we go. Sidney Jones gave up a couple passes. I believe he gave up 92 yards and a touchdown if you're not including the Deebo Samuels huge play. That was just a completely broken coverage. So, not a great game when it comes to statistics for Sidney Jones, but boy, was it better than watching Trey Flowers out on the field. And now we move into the good. And when I'm talking about the good from Sidney Jones, I'm not talking about plays, really. There are a couple plays that I think showed some promise for Sidney Jones, but I think it's more of his attitude. So the first play, let's just go right into the plays right here. This was more of a bad pass, but still, you can see Sidney Jones right on the receiver. Even if that is a good pass, I think Sidney Jones has a possibility to get his hands in there. I think that was some pretty good coverage, especially on a crossing route where you don't really see good coverage too often. On a third down, you see a good stop. I think Sidney Jones, even if it was a good throw, I believe Sidney Jones would have made the play, but this was a good play here by Carlos Dunlap, who tipped the ball at the line of scrimmage. And then the good play, the second one right here, another bad pass, but you can see Sidney Jones right on the receiver trying to contest the catch. So even if the catch, or even if the ball was in the right place, Sidney Jones would have at least contested the catch if the ball was placed right. I think that that's a good thing to see from Sidney Jones. And I mean, this is something that gives me promise. You know, Trey Flowers, you don't really see him make too many of these plays. Sidney Jones, I liked what I saw today. Now, it wasn't completely perfect, but it was better than we've seen for a while. But the good doesn't stop there. The good comes from Sidney Jones and his post-game interview. Now, remember, Trey Flowers last game played absolutely terrible football. And then he went into the post-game interview. He was blaming it on scheme, which is kind of true. But he said that he's really confident in himself and he was playing good football and he doesn't care what anybody else says. Now, that was my big problem with Trey Flowers. But guess what Sidney Jones said yesterday? Sidney Jones actually took accountability. Now, don't just take it from me. Take it from the man himself.
I think it was a good start. Everything wasn't perfect. Obviously, there's some things to clean up. I have super high expectations for myself, so it was a good start, but a lot to fix, a lot to correct. But team did well. Good win.
That's what we like to see, baby. You know, he says, I have high expectations for myself. There's things to fix. And that's what you like to hear. You don't like to hear him say, I did everything perfectly, because he knows he didn't do everything perfectly. He knows there are things to fix. The communication issue that gave up a wide open touchdown, 100% on him. You know, there's a lot of things that he can fix. He can not give inside leverage to the bigger man. There's a lot of things he could have done right, but at least he acknowledges it. At least he's not Trey Flowers saying, I did the best I possibly could. I played good football. I don't care what anybody says. Sidney Jones, a sane human being, someone who was actually giving effort at the corner spot. I really like it. And there's also one more good that comes from this. DJ Reed looked a lot more comfortable this game, and that is because he went back to being the right corner. Trey Flowers, when he came in, I believe he was playing at right corner, so that pushed DJ Reed to left corner. Sidney Jones came in at left. DJ Reed got to go back to right, where he was playing so well last season. And everything, I believe, just worked a lot better this game. You know, we had great safety play. Jamal Adams was playing some good coverage. Quandre Diggs, he was just all over the place. It was just a very good game from our secondary. Ryan Neal, that boy needs some more snaps. Ryan Neal had a great game as well. Ugo Amadi had a couple good plays. Just overall, 10 times better this game than any other game that we've seen from our secondary. And I really liked it. Sidney Jones, you know, there was some ugly, there was some bad. But overall, I believe this was a good debut for Sidney Jones. Even though he did technically give up like 160 yards and 2 touchdowns, I will 100% take Sidney Jones over Trey Flowers any day of the week. Let me know down below in the comments what you thought about Sidney Jones' first game with the Seattle Seahawks. Leave a like if you enjoyed, subscribe if you're new, and go ahead and buy some stuff at the Faloki Hoodie House if you want to. This is a test shirt, so you can kind of see what it's going on with. I don't know. Let me know down below in the comments. Like I said, leave a like, subscribe. I've already said that. Have a great day.